In this 444, we're going to talk about the 4 factors that you should consider when deciding whether to pay for a professional service. And they are good, cheap and fast, hiring a professional, investing in your future self, doing nothing, and at the end, there's a bonus why fixed fees are best. Right, let's get into the video. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Hugh and I'm a retirement specialist and money coach at Proposito Financial Planning based in the heart of the Cotswolds. And on this channel, we look at the tools, tips and strategies that you can employ to get the most of your life force, and that's your time, your energy and your ability, so you can live a life with more meaning and more happiness. Right, let's get into it. When you buy any kind of service, you can have good, you can have fast, and you can have cheap. And of those 3 things, you can only ever have 2 things. And whichever 2 you choose, you can't have the 3rd one. So if you want a good service that's fast, it won't be cheap. And if you want a cheap service that's good, it won't be fast. And if you want a fast service that's cheap, guess what? It won't be good. And it's important that you bear those 3 factors in mind when deciding how much to pay for any service that you buy. The second factor you need to bear in mind when looking at how much to spend on a service is that if you think it's expensive hiring a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. Famously said by Red Adair, who put out the Piper Alpha oil rig fire back in the mid-80s, I think. But it's true that paying an expert to help you get to where you want to get to quicker and you could get there yourself is a real good investment. But if you pay for somebody who's cheap and they're not very good and not a professional, you're likely going to have to spend more in the long run to put right the issues that are created by not hiring somebody with the requisite skills from the outset. It's a false economy to think that hiring somebody who's cheap is the way forward. So make sure that you hire somebody with the skills you need to do the job that you need. So the 3rd factor when it comes to considering the fees you should pay for services is really thinking about not the cost of the services, but an investment in your future self. The reason you're engaging somebody to provide a service to you is because you want something to change in your life. You want to be doing something different. And thinking about this and reframing this as an investment in your future self is going to make it more palatable when you come to pay the fee. You need to try and make decisions today that your future self will thank you for. Now, the difficult thing for all of us is we don't know our future self and we can't imagine what our future self will be like. All we can do is to project our current self into the future. But we really don't know what our future self will be like. But we need to make decisions today that your future you will thank you for. The 4th factor to consider is what happens if you do nothing? What is the cost to you for doing nothing? And I would guess that it's more significant than the outlay of engaging somebody to do the service for you. I mean, some things are going to be intangible. Changes in your life, positive changes in your life are going to be almost intangible to quantify, but certainly more than the cost of getting anything done. So for example, in my role as a financial planning retirement specialist, I help people retire so that they're identifying their best retirement journey. And what's the cost of that? You know, our fees are £3,000, £4,000, £5,000. But what's the value to the client for living their most fulfilling life in retirement? Most people are only going to retire once, and getting it right is a really important thing to do. A final bonus factor is to think about fixed fees. Now, we charge fixed fees and we prefer fixed fees to hourly rates, and we prefer fixed fees to percentage charging. We don't think that percentage charging is necessarily the right way to go. We don't think that if you have more wealth, you should pay more for the same service. So we price our services up on fixed fees where people pay based on, you know, what we need to do for them. And we use something called VERP really to ascertain what the level of fees should be. The V is for value. What's the value to the client of us completing the work for them? E is for expertise. What's the expertise required in order for us to do the work? What's the risk to us as a business for taking on that work, because we don't have to do the work for people? And P is for profit. You know, let's have an element of profit in what we do, and we don't shy away from the fact that as a business we require ourselves to make a profit, and if we don't make a profit on every client, then eventually we're likely to go bust, or there's an element of cross subsidy where profitable clients are subsidising the work for non-profitable clients, and that's not right. So we make sure that all our clients are profitable, and we charge them a fee that is commensurate with the value that they're going to receive from us doing the work, the expertise required for us to do the work in the first place, and the risk to the firm for taking on that work. And so that's how we arrive at our fixed fees. And it's also sharing a story. Pablo Picasso was sat in a cafe in Paris, and a American journalist went up to them and asked if they would be kind enough to draw a sketch on a napkin. Mr. Picasso obliged. He quickly drew a sketch. Didn't take him more than a minute or two, and he offered the napkin to the journalist and said, "That'll be 1,000,000 francs, please." And the journalist looked at him and said, "Why so much? It only took you 5 minutes." And he said, "No, it took me 40 years to be able to do that in 5 minutes." And that's the important reason why we don't charge time fees. We charge less for being good at what we do, and also there's a perception that we get paid more if we sit around drinking tea, and we get paid more for being inefficient and not getting through the work as quickly as we possibly can. So that's why we don't charge time fees. Let me know that you've watched this far by leaving a comment below with a jigsaw emoji in it. It's Unicode number U plus 1F9E9. If you can't find it, you Google or Apple phone. Don't forget to like this video, ring the notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on our next video. Now, if you liked this 444, I think you're going to love my previous 444 that was all about my 4 favourite questions that can lead to better conversations. Check it out here or here. And there's also a link to our Behaviour Gap playlist, which I think you're going to love as well. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.